All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market show. Hope everyone had an amazing weekend and hope you're having a great morning today. All right, guys, another very volatile opening for, or at least pre-market so far. For the markets, as you can see, we're down quite a bit. So this morning we'll do things a little bit different. Norm is going to give us a little bit of the news, what the spy's doing, things of that nature. Then we'll go into, instead of me going through this gigantic list as we've been doing the last couple of days, all throughout last week. Obviously, we've seen the same song and dance here, right? A couple of stocks green, the majority either protective gear, some low flow stocks, CODX, or maybe some pharmaceuticals involved with this virus that continues to get a little bit worse and worse. Now people are starting to, ban some certain travels, quarantine certain towns and things like that. And then you have the list of everything else just following the spy, taking a huge hit. We see the same several players here. You got some oil companies here, airlines, obviously, some banks. You got our normal stuff, Carnival, which we've been following quite a bit. What's that down to now? $15. I mean, wow. So
Yeah.
again, it's just the continuance of we're not nowhere near a bounce yet. We got to be patient. So we're seeing the same picture today. A break. I think we broke. If we look at the spy, and we'll get into that in a second. I think we broke down the low from a couple of days ago. But before we get into that, Norman's going to go through the spy, give us an update on what's happening there. I would like for you guys to get ready with your list because after he's done with the spy and giving us an update on what's happening, also talk a little bit about the circuit breakers for today. That's very important. Actually, I'll start pulling that up, Norm, so we can talk about that. We'll give you the websites for that. Start putting a list together. I want to see what you guys are watching. And more importantly, look out for anything that might have its own catalyst. I know we have a lot to go through here, but as a group, as a community together, you can find something that might have a catalyst that can help this one way or the other. So we'd love to really hone in on those stocks. So,
Yeah.
Norm, good
A
morning. Give us an
specific
update on
catalyst.
exactly. Good morning. Give us an update on the spy
A
today.
catalyst. Let's specify on that. A catalyst specific to that stock, because I'm going to
Right.
talk about a couple of things going on here that are pertaining to industries. So if you see something that's not a part of that or not just getting hit because of that, then let's then point it out. That this has just gotten a little bit out of hand with this insane number of stocks. There's no way that we can go through every single thing here this morning. So anyway, as everybody can see, we're gapping down nearly 10% on the SPY. Last night, the Fed announced they were cutting overnight rates to zero or near zero and getting an $800 billion QE package that is going to roll out. So despite that coming out right before 6 p.m. Eastern, when the futures open, the futures went limit down at 5%, which is halt on futures if they go down or up 10% after market hours. So that's what we triggered almost immediately. Of course, the SPY itself continues to trade. The ETF does not have that limit down, and it's almost 10% right now, right on that door. Just a reminder, guys, I put up the link in the chat room in the alert section above. I'm going to post it in YouTube right now. These are the levels at which the market would get halted today. Now, that level one, remember, in the last 35 minutes of trading, the first two do not apply. So, and this is all this is the S&P 500 index. This isn't the SPY or any kind of ETF or any. That's the actual index. If the S&P 500 goes down 7%, we'll go for a 15-minute trading halt on all stocks. No trades will take place. Level two, if we then hit 13%, the same thing will happen again, and those absolute numbers on the SPY there. That'll halt for 15 minutes again. And then level three, if it were to go down 20% at any time during the trading day, the market would be closed for the rest of the day. No trading would take place for the rest of the day. So those are those numbers. That's what to watch out for. I would not watch it using the SPY. Note that in DAS, SPX, $, the index is delayed by 15 minutes. So you're going to have to get your info elsewhere. If we open right now, we would trade for a split second, then halt immediately. So as I've mentioned before, even if we're up around that 7% level, I will not personally trade. I'm not going to be stuck in a halt. I don't even know if it'll be possible to get a trade in before it halts. If it happened to bounce and let's say goes up to 5% and then comes back through 7 and it's already been halted there, it will not halt again. It would only halt if it hit the 13% level circuit breaker. So Brian's asking if we're down 10% off the open, does it halt immediately? Yes, but it would have to tick to that level first. So there would be some, I mean, in order for the S&P 500 index to move, stocks have to trade for a second, at least to get the level to get down there. So we would trade until it hit that level. So that's what I'm watching. Now, as far as I mentioned, sectors, the whole market is getting crushed here. This is just indiscriminate selling, and that's what makes it so difficult, really. There's very little earnings. FCell had earnings this morning. Last I looked, they were down about the same as the market. InBev had earnings this morning. Their earnings were abysmal, so I haven't even looked at the stock. It's nothing I'm going to trade. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff that's, nothing really interesting. So oil is way down this morning. Again, it's just getting hammered. That's what's causing all these oil stocks to be down. If you start at the bottom, you've got Oxy, PBR, HAL. I'm not going to name each one, but there's some BP. There's some ideas of what's down there. Airlines slashed their trips over the weekend. I've heard 50% range is about what they've cut their capacity. So that's what's killing them. There's some concerns over liquidity and such, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. The government isn't going to let all these airlines go out of business. That doesn't mean these stocks are going to be worth anything. But and then banks. Somebody specifically mentioned banks. So these banks, Citigroup's down the biggest. These have come out and said they're going to hold back, suspend their share repurchases until we're through this. So they want to keep money on hand. The other thing is interest rates. Somebody mentioned they can borrow money at next to zero. While that's true, if the interest rates, and I'm talking about longer yield interest rates, 2s, 5s, 10s, are that low, then they can't make money off loans. So they might, they've got different segments that make different amount, make money in different ways through it, whether it's through trading or mergers and acquisitions, services like that. Nobody's going to IPO right now, so nobody's doing, that. Once we get to the backside of this, my guess is there will probably be a flurry of acquisitions as strong companies that have strong balance sheets and cash look to acquire these companies that are beaten down, that were flying high and beaten down. So anyway, that's what we got there. I'm trying to see if there's really anything. Everything else is just pretty much getting hit on really, concerns over general economic activity. So there you go.
All right, excellent. Thanks, man. All right, guys. So let's look at both chats. What do you guys like this morning? As we mentioned earlier, anything that has its own catalyst, things that are moving somewhat independently and have are causing some moves to specific to that stock, right? So just want to check on here, see what we have. LRN. Let's take a look at that LRN this morning. All right, this one has no volume at the moment, so I do see it's actually has two good days on Thursday and Friday. Nice little pops here. So they definitely got their own thing going on here. But again, I'm not seeing anything great. I'm not sure what kind of stock this is. Also, the volume is very low. If you look at the volume down here in the intraday, you can see is the stock doesn't trade quite often with a lot of volume. So I'm going to skip on that one. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Bill Gates stepping down. Let's take a look at that. So Microsoft this morning. They are taking, they're taking a hit. I'm not sure if it's because of Bill Gates specifically, but if that's a catalyst, that can create some movements as well. So we have some good volume.
Yeah, and just for the record there, so Bill Gates hadn't been the CEO of Microsoft in a while, but he's stepping down from the board. That was announced on Friday.
Okay. I feel he probably wasn't running the day-to-day stuff there for some time now. But yeah, this is definitely very active. As you can see here, I do like the volume we're getting on it today is down 12.6. Definitely worth watching. One of the stocks that we can see if that news is going to impact it one way or the other in regards to being a negative news. Obviously, Bill Gates has been great for this company, of course. So we'll see how that impacts its own news. With that said, let's just take a quick look at Apple. See what Apple's doing today.
Well, and before you get into that, Carlos, I'm glad I appreciate Jason for reminding me. He just said some really bad numbers came out. which I went into my speech about everything else going on in the SPY, and I neglected to mention that the Empire State Index, which is a measure of manufacturing in that area, uh, just came out with, I mean, absolutely atrocious numbers. Last month, it was their index. It was 12.9. They were expected to come in around 4, which is a massive contraction, and they came in like negative 28. So
Ouch.
essentially, everything's just absolutely shut down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty crappy number there. Apple guys, also a lot of volume here, 1.3 million shares right now. This is down 14%. So good one to watch as well. One of the ones that we watch often. Obviously, with the SPY dropping now, you can keep an eye on this one also. MRNN, Andy's giving us down. Let's take a look here. MRNA, not MN, sorry, NA. This one, again, it's one of these tough stocks to trade, guys. This is pretty much flat right now, or up 3%, 627,000 shares traded. Pre-market's not looking all that great. This stock has been somewhat holding this level of 29. You can see several times we have tested it before. The few times we dip below, we come right back above it, above this 20 level. So we've been 21 levels. So we've been staying above that. But again, it's not an easy stock to trade, guys. But you can see here, this is somewhat holding this level here. We got some big candles here, some good volume. This one has 159 on its own. So a big chunk of that 627. We could keep an eye on it. I don't think it'll be one that I'll be keeping on my list, but this is one that's definitely active this morning and not down. It's not out red here as of today. All right, let's
So
see.
the word on that,
Mm-hmm.
on a Moderna, is they've got a potential vaccine that had approval to move forward with tests in April, and they actually started testing that either yesterday or today. So
Okay, cool. Definitely worth keeping an eye on with that type of news. See if that creates something at the open. Let's take a look at Tesla this morning. Tesla, again, down quite a bit, 533,000 shares traded. This is down 15.4. I mean, this thing has really come back down somewhat to reality here, right? We had levels of 950, 800, 750. We held 600 for a bit here, but we're giving a lot of it, almost a lot of it back today after this thing basically went parabolic back in the beginning of the year, right? So this is all the gains from the beginning of the year, right in here, guys, right? January, right there. You can see we're back at that level, right for the beginning of the year. So we might be going red for the year on this one so far. So yeah, definitely worth watching. I'm not aware that there's any specific news on Tesla, aside just from the market. Norm, are you aware of anything with these guys?
no, not specifically.
Yeah, specifically. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's see what else
They're
we
almost
have.
back to 420. Who'd have thought they'd have done this round trip?
Yeah. I mean, we would never know, right? If it wasn't for this coronavirus, if this thing would have ever continued this incredible, unbelievable pop here, my money on that it probably would have. But again, you just never know. So. All right, so that's what we have. What else do you guys have on your end, guys? What else do you guys like this morning? We're going to take a quick look at some of the ones that we watch on a regular basis. Look at AMD here today. AMD is chopping around a little bit. It is down 11.5 to 1.1 million shares traded. Similar like an Apple, AMD is one that you can keep an eye on as well. So you got several ones on here. One of my favorite stocks to watch during this time has been, as you know, CCL. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this one. But this one, man, this is taking a very a crappy hit here. Of course, they are down. You know, a low of the day 1368. I believe one of these hit all time low. I'm not sure if it was this one. Yeah, actually, might have been CCL. No, maybe not. It was one of these cruise liners that did do that. But I'm not sure which one. But CCL has been fun to trade, guys. It's been very somewhat predictable with these drops right at the open. We've seen several days where it just pops up a little bit and you get these massive drops. Even when the SPY goes a little bit higher and shows a little bit signs of strength, this one continues just to drop. So I'll be watching CCL for that reason. Next, what do we have here? We do have, I put on here American Airlines and United Airlines as well, Bank of America, Citigroup, as Noah was talking about them earlier. We'll fine tune this a little bit. I also have Oxy here, so we'll take a look at Oxy as one of the oil stocks to watch this morning. They're the ones that have the biggest drop, as you can see here over in our gappers list. Yeah, TVIX, TVIX is just unbelievable. It's above 500, 600 now, maybe. Let me see. Where's it at now? Yep. So again, this volatility index obviously is just, look at this here. We're trading, and this is after we did have a reverse split on this. I believe what it was some time ago, right? Because this thing was a lot lower. It popped up to 80 or so, but now look at this. This thing is almost at $600. So again, it's very tough to trade, guys, at this price range, and also at this at the range that it has now, the average true range. And again, this is also leverage. So even with the SPY dropping, this has become a very tough trade to take, even for a scalp or momentum play, right? Just because the price is too high, the pullbacks here are going to be $4, $5, $10 if the SPY is really running. It's really not probably worth the risk anymore, right? When this thing was a lot lower and was more controllable, and the volatility was a normal drop of some news broke out, you take advantage of it. But now, I mean, I just don't know how you get in a trade here and protect yourself, from the way the market has been trading. Let's look at JD. So Joseph over, I'm sorry, Triple D in and YouTube is giving us that one. Let's take a look at this. So JD is dropping. I like JD. I like the last week as well because it's kind of been holding here, gapped up. But I actually could not hold that, sold down and kind of popped back a little more. Actually became a beautiful short on Friday. And then here what we have is we're kind of getting down towards these levels over here. So I do like JD to watch this morning. Let's change this over here. What's their volume look like? Their volume is at 211,000, down 8.1. So yeah, definitely worth watching JD. I think I like this one today. Let me just make some link this over here. Here we go. All right, see what else we have, guys. So Tesla we have on our list. JD, Apple we have on our list. See what else you guys like. BNTX. I haven't seen that one. Haven't heard of that one. BNTX. Take a look what we got. So BNTX popping up this morning. It's a biotech company. It's popping up 55%. So again, it's one of these pharmaceutical companies. Looks like. What's the news on this one, guys? Someone who threw this out there.
On which one?
BNTX.
I have not seen it, so I'll have to look.
Yeah, I didn't see this one neither here. And while we looked that up, NCHL.
It's coronavirus developing
related.
a vaccine.
Okay, so another coronavirus stock there, which obviously a lot of these companies are going to be popping up. Even more companies popping up with people trying to ramp up on tests, more funds being
BNTX
available.
is a German company too, so it might be tough.
Here. Yeah. I don't like this one, guys. Again, just with the volatility now, you can trade some of these stocks are trading so well. American Airlines, United Airlines, Bank of America. I know the theme becomes a little boring because we're watching the same thing over and over again. But this is what's hot right now. This was providing the opportunities and the liquidity and a great way to protect yourself from risk, right? And just keep an eye on the SPY and always obviously Squawk Radio as well. Let's take a look at we're looking at NCHL. This is the other cruise liner as well. This one has obviously been taking a hit, down 8.4, 385. Again, more bad news about some of these ones are actually just closing down completely, right? They're not even it's not about limiting down sales or people not taking vacation. It's just closing down operations. So that's obviously going to hurt them. You can see here, this one's been taking a pretty bad hit within this situation, right? Up at 52 now, trading basically at $10. I believe this could be the one that we talked about earlier that might be below their IPO price. Yeah, this is it right here. So this IPO'd back at 25 looks like around that area. And you can see here we're down at $10, 931 low off the pre-market. So I think this is a good one to watch, guys. Again, I don't think they're going to let these companies go bankrupt, but they're obviously going to be taking a hit as this is they're not producing any revenue at all, and probably won't be for a very long time. That's my take on that. So we'll definitely watch that one. I think this is a good one, especially now that it's creating all-time lows. I think this could be exciting here and interesting the way that's going to play out. RCL, Pilot Fish, this is another one also that has taken a hit. This is Royal Caribbean. Again, but I have found that CCL and NCHL have been trading a little bit cleaner and better. Again, I'm being picky, right? Just because I'm not going to watch 3 cruise liner ships. I think they're all going to probably trade somewhat the same. But if you look at NCHL and you look at Carnival, I think these guys I have definitely more volume. I saw that last week as well. So I think this will be 2 ones to watch on your list. All right, let's look at INO. Let's look at a few more. INO this morning. What do we got going on here? Wow, INO giving a lot of it back this morning, sitting at a pretty good, interesting level. We had resistance here some time ago, and then we had some support over here, and now we're kind of getting very close to that area one more time here. Bad pre-market down 17.4, 1.5 million shares traded here. So again, this is a pharmaceutical company. And it's not doing all that well. So again, I personally do not like this one, but I'm going to keep it on here to do some levels here because I know you guys really like this stock, and a lot of you are watching, have been watching this one very closely. BA this morning also down 13.6, kind of the theme of this morning as well. A lot of stocks down quite a bit. 239,000 shares traded right now. This stock being up at 350, now trading at 147. Again, a lot of drops. This is happening due to what's going on here with the markets. So again, guys, it's going to be a very volatile week. Once again, with that said, just got to be very, very careful. I'm going to be watching almost very similar stocks that I've been watching all week that have been, trading with the SPY, but trading somewhat clean with a good spread, with a good with good volume. That's what I'm going to be looking for. I wonder, I know last week, I believe was a Friday, a lot of stocks, and a lot of guys saw this, a lot of stocks were a short selling restriction, right? I'm not seeing that today, right? I don't see a lot of these in short selling restriction just yet. But I think on Friday, the only one that was not on short selling restriction was Apple at the open. No, I'm not sure if you saw that as well. So it's a little bit tougher because you do got to get
Yeah, I mean
filled.
there were a handful that weren't, and it was the reason was because they were all down 10% the previous day. So we didn't have that happen on Friday. We had that pump at the end, so we're not having SSR on on a ton. All that having been said, though, I mean half of the list here that I'm looking at is down over 10%. So everything will go on SSR as soon as they hit 10.
Yeah, yeah. So again, just be aware that's part of the game here with the way things are. So I know it's a little bit frustrating. It was frustrating for me trying to short JD on Friday. I couldn't get in, unfortunately, and it's just something we have to somewhat deal with in this type of environment. So what you don't want to do in that situation, guys, you don't want to go crazy chasing something. If you miss your entry, and it goes down a little bit, you still want to get in. Try one more time. But if it's way far beyond your entry, just completely avoid it and look for something else. So it's very important. No FOMO. Don't try to chase something and get left behind. All right, so that is what we have. Norm, anything else you have in the meantime you have looked that you liked before we go to announcements?
No, I like nothing.
Okay, excellent.
I don't know that I'll trade today. I'm finding these days I mean it's just indiscriminate selling. So we don't have catalyst on individual stocks for the most part.
Yeah.
Nothing new, at least. It's just indiscriminate selling across the board. So it's kind of tough to trade in my head.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that because it has not been easy, even for me. I'm trading a lot less. Some of these moves are not usually what I typically trade. I usually like to wait 5 minutes, and if you notice, if you wait 5 minutes now, these things are getting really extended. They're coming back the other way. There haven't been any good clear patterns being formed. So again, guys, if you're struggling, don't force it. That's part of us not being in a normal market condition at this time. So, all right. With that said, let's bring up the announcements now, and then we'll come back and do some levels, and we'll go back to the chats and see if you guys have found anything that we should take a look at.
All right, guys, it's Monday. Hard to believe we're starting another week. But Brian will have his swing trade discussion today in the chat room at 2:30 Eastern. Those are always amazing, especially in this kind of market. So I really look forward to hearing what Brian has to say later. Carlos will have his class one onboarding tonight at 8 p.m. like every week. Tuesday, Thursdays, Eamon's trade review in the classroom at noon. And then Wednesday, success webinar for lifetime members. They are in the lifetime webinar room. They're usually at 8 p.m. Eastern, but keep an eye out on that page because sometimes they do change times on rare occasion. All right, guys. So speaking of success webinars, our next one is this Wednesday. It will be at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be Thor discussing how he trades level 2. And then next week is Ed Martin from Average Joe Trader talking about trading after hours earnings, which is very timely considering we'll be hitting earnings season here again in a few weeks, 2-3 weeks, or after that. 2 3 weeks after that. It's about a month from now. Then on the 1st, we will at 6 p.m. because he's out of London. Stephen Goldstein, excuse me. He's a trading psychologist. He was a professional trader for many many years. Very insightful. Great follow on Twitter. I believe his handle's at Alpha Mind, and he has the Alpha Mind podcast. I guess my thought process just went on a thinking halt. He's going to be talking about golden trading guidelines. Then on the 24th, our own in-house psychologist on our Psychology Tuesday webinar will be having his Q&A, just like we do for the lifetime sessions. You post your question in the form that ABL set up, and we'll get them answered during that session. Right now, we do still have that promo for March, 40% off lifetime membership, the single payment. You can use the promo code St. Patrick's. If you're watching us on YouTube, haven't been in the chat, you can do so at a discount. We've got a 1-week trial. Use the promo code premarket24. That's premarket24. It doesn't auto renew or turn into any other kind of membership.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's head back down over here. Push this over. Excellent. All right, folks, so let's get to this list. Let's start over at the top here. So I'm going to watch Oxy. I think this will be the one oil stocks that I will watch today. Just kind of see how that plays out. Obviously, they're down 21% this morning, more than almost any stock here in our gappers list. So worth taking a look at. HAL is another one that you can look at as well. But Oxy seems to get the most volume and has the biggest drop this morning. So I'll keep an eye on that. Let's remove some of these levels. I really have the highs and lows on here, which I'm really going to keep. I think these are creating a good level of support and resistance. So I'm going to be watching out for that today. You can mark down the high of the pre-market, but overall your two big levels are going to be this one here over above 14, close to the previous day close at 14.26, and then this one down here as well, slightly the low of 2 days ago. We're sitting right below a good support resistance level, or almost around 11.90 or so. So you have that mark there as well. That was the low from Friday. So that's what I have on Oxy. I'm going to keep an eye on this and see how the pre-market activity develops, how the SPY does. Depending how that plays out, this is going to react accordingly. American Airlines, guys, continues to take a hit here, down 17.5, 828,000 shares traded. At the moment, we do have a great pre-market activity happening here. Obviously, airlines taking a huge hit. We know they're reducing a lot of their flights to kind of limit how much cost their operating costs. Their low of the pre-market sitting at 11.25. So again, we'll see how that plays out in a couple of minutes. I do like the way this is dropping here. Above that, you have the highs and lows from the last two trading days. Got you covered. Previous day close got you covered all the way up to 17, around 17 here, 1765. We do have a very nice level of support. We had to drop here, right? Found support at 1760. Consolidation for about 3 days, lost that, came back and retested at 1760, and then right back down, created some good levels here on the highs and lows for the last two trading days. Now, if we lose this 1125, again, we're down quite a bit on here. I'm going to go over to the monthly chart, see what we have. And let's go back here on American Airlines. Oh, this is all-time low. So American Airlines IPO'd around, what is this, 24 roughly, right? So this is your IPO. Let's mark that down around 24 bucks, 24 bucks or so. So that is your IPO price right on there, this line, 23.95, 24 probably. So we've been past that. We almost tested this some time ago, a couple of years ago, 2016, had a nice bounce. We're back at that level and losing some. Losing completely now at this point. So you have no levels down here below this market low at 11.25 to be able to play some support, some loss of momentum. So we'll see how this plays out. Again, American Airlines taking a very, very big hit. Let's go back over to United Airlines. So United Airlines as well, same situation, guys. This one has been trading very clean with some good volume as well. Not more than American Airlines, so I will probably keep American Airlines on my list just because what we have here, we have more volume, and also it is at all-time low. For that reason, I'm going to remove this one off my list and keep American Airlines. Here's Bank of America. This will be the banking stock I watched today. Citigroup is also taking a hit, but Bank of America seems to have a little bit of more volume and a better pre-market activity. So just look at it closely. Again, this is decent. It's not bad, but it's not better than Bank of America. Bank of America has a better pre-market activity, and it also is down nicely with some really good volume, 1.4 million shares traded. Now, the last couple of days, this thing it has a very interesting daily chart in here. If you notice, every time, besides this day here where you had a bounce, every time it opens up, it kind of closes right around the same area where it opened up. The candle, the body of the candle is very, very small. So it doesn't run too much, right? You have your little range that is created and comes back towards that open, right? Every single time it has traded in the last couple of days. So that's kind of interesting the way that's setting up. Except for this day, we had a very nice big pop here. Came back to its level of 24, and then today we're dropping down. So interesting couple of days here that we have on Bank of America. Here we have your highs and lows of the last two trading days got you covered towards the bottom, guys. Let's find a level here. I'm going to go over to our monthly. Actually, our weekly looks pretty good in here. We could do that. And we have a nice big gap here. So we're sitting at a very interesting level around 19 with this low of this previous day low here, around 20 bucks. A very good level. There's nothing between. They have a nice little drop all the way down to 18 up 97. We had this huge breakout here back in 2016, end of 2016, right on this. So very nice big day there. Some news probably popped up, and you can see how beautiful that traded. Below that, you have a very strong area of resistance that can now become support right at 18. You can see several times here over a couple of 2-3 years we popped up to that 18. We're not able to break out of that, and you can see here the drop in 2016 finally trying to make it out of 18. When we did break out of that, had a nice pop on there. So keep an eye on that. We do have a great level there at 18 that we can hopefully test today, depending how the markets trade. Here is Citigroup. So again, I'm going to keep Bank of America, not going to keep Citigroup, but again, Citigroup is also going to watch. They're hitting 2016. Looks like they also have some level that they hit as well. You can mark here if you want to watch Citigroup instead. But I'm going to delete this one and keep Bank of America. Microsoft, guys, is one that's trading very well, has a lot of activity. Again, Bill Gates is stepping down from the board, so I'm not sure how much this is going to affect this here. Microsoft has been trading really strong. I think they're really down because just of the virus situation. But let's do some levels just in case. We have 130 down here, a great area of prior resistance that became support. Look at the beautiful test before we had a beautiful breakout here with some positive news. We've been watching Microsoft closely. These guys have been, again, doing very well. Prior to the breakout. So here we have our high of our pre-market at 147. So we'll mark that down. Oops, sorry, I'm on the weekly. Let's go back to our daily. Here we go. That 130. Okay, that 130 is still good. Just want to confirm. Yep, still good on the daily here. You can see several days testing that. Now our high of our pre-market is all the way up at 147. So I'm going to mark that down. 147.95. High of the pre-market right on here, guys. Got several days testing that, so you want to keep an eye on that. Below the low of the 2 days ago on Thursday, you do have a drop all the way here to 130, but you do have something in between here. Again, here is very choppy, guys. It's daily. You can see it's chopping around a bit. It's not clean, and this is typical. When Microsoft is not really in play, it doesn't trade very well. This is what you usually get, right? Then we had the breakout here, gapped up. Remember, you guys remember this last year, and it traded very well. We took advantage of a lot of these breakouts into the virus got out of control. So now I'm going to go in here and try to pick the best one. I think this one, 135.68, seems to be a good one. Right on there, you have several days bouncing off of that. Again, I know this is not the best daily activity, but you can see here clearly 135 seems to have several days bouncing off of that, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. Here is Apple, guys. I think Apple will be a good one to watch today as well. Again, the volume on Apple is always great. It has 1.5 this morning already. I'm going to remove some of these levels because your highs and lows got you covered, plus the previous day close from last week. So you're good there. The low of the pre-market sitting at 238.52, so we'll mark that down. I'm going to head over here, see what else we have. Down towards the bottom here, we do have a nice level of support over at 232.67. And then below that, you have a nice day on here. We had a nice breakout at 225.51. So that's plenty for Apple here. Kind of getting a bounce here of the previous, of the low of the pre-market at 238.50. So we'll see what that does there. So I like Apple, guys. I like Microsoft. I'm going to keep an eye on those. mRNA is not one of my stocks that I like to watch. So for that reason, I'm going to remove it. Pretty much flat right now. I had a little range going on at the beginning of this pre-market. Now kind of pretty much flat with very little volume. So I don't like the pre-market the way that's forming. I'm going to remove that one right now. Here's AMD, another one that I like to watch during this time. Again, this is moving well, has great volume, down 10% this morning. Sitting right at a consolidation period that we had back in November and December right here before we had the breakout. That kind of got us into this beautiful uptrend on AMD, trading very well. So below that, we do have a great area of support and resistance at around 37.37. Also, you got a moving average right on there, very close to that. So you have here 37.37. You see the resistance, nice pullback that can be another level as well at 35. 71, and then you had the takeoff, breaks out of 37 nicely, pops up, getting to this consolidation where the price action is really at right now. So again, we have some levels on here, guys, because these are going to be important. No matter what the SPY does, you're going to notice that if you have a drop, for example, right on here, right? Look at this drop. If the SPY was dropping, obviously, it's going to find it once it gets extended and the SPY starts rebounding a little bit or pulling back, it's going to do it at some kind of level. Now, it tends to do that. It's just not going to randomly say, okay, the SPY is bouncing back, let's reverse, right? It tends to do it at some kind of level. And you clearly have the price action here at 39.19, which was the low from 2 days ago. You can see how you have the consolidation happening right in this area, right? I guarantee if this consolidation was somewhere lower down here, then maybe that would have been where it would have found some support opposed to just a random area right on here. Here we have, guys, towards the top, let's not forget, high of the pre-market is probably the most important level you want to mark in here. It's 40.60 towards the top, 40.80. And then above that, the highs and lows got you covered on AMD. Here is CCL, guys, one of my favorite stocks to watch this during this time. I have traded it very well, and a lot of you guys have as well. Our low of our pre-market is sitting at 13.68, so we'll mark that down. And then we're kind of stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. We could mark the high of the pre-market. I know it's getting very congested here with too many levels all close up in a very tight close range. But again, I think the high of the pre-market is important. You need to have that down over at 16.46. Above that, previous day close, high from yesterday, high from Friday, and then high from Thursday. It's got you covered, but you do have a nice little gap up here. If the SPY decides to be strong today, you do want to have this level here around 20.38, because this is a big gap, and this you can see we had several days bouncing off that 20.38. You can have some possible loss of momentum there, but again, it's got a lot to go through, guys. Very congested here. You got several highs and lows. You got the previous day close. You got the high from Friday. Again, it's going to take a lot to break out of that, especially this stock that has not been doing well at all. JD, guys, I like JD. I know that last week it didn't sell off as much, which was interesting, as everything else was selling down pretty bad. This one kind of held its own. It did have some good news when it popped up here. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, and as you can see here, the drop on a lot of these stocks during this time has been straight down, breaking a lot of levels of resistance. JD hasn't quite done that. They're gapping down to the 8.9, so I'm going to keep an eye on them. I think they're interesting the way they're daily setting up and the way they're not selling off as bad as some of these other stocks are. So we have 35.20 towards the bottom. We do have another level here at 34.42, and then towards the top you got your lows from the last 2 trading days, Thursday and Friday, are pretty much the high, pre-market high for today. So you have that covered, and then above that you have a level right on here, guys. I'm going to draw a line for you, 38.68. If you draw a line across that, you can clearly see how that day has traded so well in this chart. You have resistance here. You have some days opening and closing on here. You have big support happening here as well at that 38.68. Then above that, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, and you got your previous day close as well here, which is a great a support resistance line as well. NCHL. So I'm not going to keep this one on, guys. I'm going to keep CCL. I think this is the one that's has been doing pretty well. And now NCHL, I think this is all-time low. You could watch this one, but CCL will be the one I'm going to keep an eye on. I've been trading that one pretty good. So INO this morning, another one that I'm probably not going to watch, guys. Again, I just don't like this stock. But for those that will, we have your low of your pre-market sitting at 576. Below that, you do have an area here at 484, and then below that you do have the bottom all the way down here at 358. Towards the top, guys, plenty of levels, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, right? Thursday and Friday right here got you covered. Previous day close, and you do have this area here, the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, especially right on here. It's a great area of support and resistance. You can see several days bouncing off of that, opening and closing around that area. What's that? It's roughly around 850 or so. So that's a good level to have. I don't think the high of the pre-market is as great as this level here, but you can mark the high sitting at $8 just in case we break through this. But this level will be a good one if we decide to go north today. All right, guys, that is what we have. We do have a couple of minutes. Norm, have you found anything else you like? And I'll go to the chats as well and see what's happening there.
No, I'm gonna I'll tell you, I'm gonna keep an eye on some of these that we've discussed already: Apple, Microsoft, Roku, Disney, because I think that's gonna, even though ESPN is just getting annihilated, their parks are closed, I think their streaming business is going to find a ton of people, and I think that might start getting bought up at some point. I'm not saying today, but I think it's going to trade well at some point here, whether up or down. I think it might be a good trade.
Yeah.
Zoom, I'll have my eye on as more and more people are working from home, and I mean the entire planet is now essentially. So some of these, but I may not trade at all today. 10.5% down, and like I said earlier, just indiscriminate selling across the board. It makes it tough to find anything that's really that great in my strategies. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and I'm
agree.
not going to get stuck in a halt either.
Yeah, I actually
So,
at the open, I kind of been waiting to see these halts and what's happening here, especially on the gap down days. We saw that
yep.
happen last week a couple of times. So again, I don't want to be stuck in that neither. So yeah, Zoom is a good one as well, guys. Again, it's again you got to be careful with this one. It can move quite a bit. Down today 4.2 at a slightly below 100,000 at the moment. Just for levels as far as that, you can put one here at 99.70, and then all the way down here over at 97.12. So that's plenty of levels. Highs and lows got you cover on the rest. Work. Let's see what Enso is giving us work here over at YouTube. Let's get rid of some of these levels here. So work is taking a hit. I would think these guys would have been doing well, but I think they had a. Did they have earnings last week, Norm? I think was that something like that with this ticker.
They had earnings recently, but it's not
Yeah.
only that. They they've got some competition from Microsoft and such. So
Okay.
it's part of what's kept them from just really killing it recently with this
Gotcha.
news.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, work is a good one to watch, guys. I'm not gonna watch. I think I have a pretty good list already of some of the stuff that we kind of been watching pretty closely. And again, we keep saying it, and it's not to scare you or anything. Just be careful. I mean, the market is just not normal market conditions, and I'm not great in trading at this type of market environment. Right. I'm good when things are moving more selectively based on their own catalyst, gapping up or down based on actual news. Right now, everything's just moving with the market, and you can see that this whipsaw action, right? Things start going one way, you think you're seeing some kind of pattern, and then the market does something else, and it completely goes the opposite way. Completely changes the dynamics of if you're watching, if you're looking for ABCD pattern, looking for a double bottom. Some of these trades are a little bit more difficult at this time, and also just manage your risk correctly. So especially for those that we have a lot of new traders that start out with us. If you're starting out, just understand that if you're having a difficult time, it's normal. This is not an easy time to trade at all. So just keep that in mind. Be patient. Market's not going to go anywhere. Eventually, things will settle down. Not like Norm said, not going to be today or tomorrow. Might not be this week or next, but it will happen, and we'll be here to take advantage of it. So AMD is getting a nice little pop here this morning. What's going on with that? Breaking out of this level we had here, which is the low of Friday. So we got a nice little pop there. What is the SPY doing? Let's check on that. Yeah, SPY's not popping up, so not sure what's causing AMD to have this beautiful pop right now. So nice. All right, what else we have? So Door Disney. Let's see what Disney's looking like. Disney. Yeah, Disney could be interesting as well. Nice drop here as well. Disney also could be one to watch. All right, folks, that is what we have. Here's our watches. We're coming up almost on 9:15. Andrew will be coming on shortly, going over what he's going to be watching today. Brian will be doing the same as well. If you have not tried the room, guys, just a reminder, definitely do our trial that we have on the website. The link, I believe, Abby has posted on YouTube, so check that out and see what we're doing here the entire day. So trade safe, guys. Back to another week of trading. Let's see how the market opens today, and my eyes are going to be on the SPY and seeing how the markets are going to react at the bell. Those first 5 minutes have been, again, you're getting a lot of volume, a lot of volatility. In some cases, people are waiting 15 minutes for things to really settle down. Keep your eyes on the news as well. We do have Benzinga running in the chat room, so make sure you have that on in the background just in case something breaks out, especially with the way this virus has been changing minute by minute. I mean, every hour last week was something new. It's just very fluid, developing very rapidly. So just keep an ear for that, just in case something can affect the way the markets are trading in that situation. So take care, guys. Thank you for joining us this morning. Trade safe. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, and we'll see you tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern time, as we prepare again for another day of trading.
Take care, guys. Trade safe. See you tomorrow.